Hello and welcome to another episode 5 of the Sell Smarter, Sell Faster livecast. Glad you're here with us today. And as always, drop a note and let us know in the comments where you're viewing from today. We always love to see everyone from all over the country and maybe even beyond. So as a reminder, I'm Dani Buckley. I'm your host, and I am here with Shay Smith, our producer. Hey, Shay.
Hi, how are you today, Dani?
I am good. I am
good.
Excited for our interview today because this is someone that I've had the chance to work with for over 8 years now. And he's also a really awesome, fun guy. And so we have a lot to learn from Tyler. So before we get into that, though, I know you're going to tee us up properly. Want to send a little reminder to everybody. This livecast is powered by Lead G2. We are a sales performance agency. We specialize in helping businesses sell smarter and sell faster using both inbound marketing and sales enablement strategies. That's who we are. And if you also check out sellsmartersellfaster.com, you can learn all about us, about this livecast, and get lots of cool resources. In this livecast in particular, our goal here is to help with sales growth. Right? We talk about all kinds of tactics and strategies. We really are looking to help business leaders make smarter decisions that are going to help your sales team perform better. And that includes real life examples, kind of fresh insights and trends. That's the kind of stuff we're aiming for. So hopefully you've been seeing that along the way. And here on episode 5, we've got more of that to cover.
Yeah. And if you are new here, or if you're not, make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel. You can subscribe right here. I put the URL up on the screen, or share with your friends. So if you like the content you're seeing, you can like it, you can share it, you can subscribe. And we do pre-post our upcoming live stream. So you can go in there, click remind me, and it'll remind you when we're about to go live. So you don't even need to put it on a calendar. You'll just get a little notification on your app on YouTube and join us then. Also, if you do have any questions or comments today, we'd love to hear from you in the comment section. So you can ask questions. We'll try to adjust them throughout the episode. If we can't get to them, we'd love to connect with you. You can connect with us on our website, sellsmartersellfaster.com, or also Dani and I are both on LinkedIn, Twitter, all the things. So we'd love to connect with you. If we can't get to your question during the episode, reach out to us, reach out to Dani on LinkedIn or Twitter or myself, and we'd love to connect. So with that, I'm excited to hand this over. We're going to be talking about the sales process and slowing things down in the sales process so you can speed them up. We're going to have guest Tyler Rhodes from Hubspot, which you've probably seen in our promotion. We're really excited. And like Dani said, he's a cool guy. We're excited to hear from him. So Dani, with that, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. And this topic is one that I'm particularly excited about because it's something that we really practice here at Lead G2. It's something that's been taught for a very long time at our parent company, the Center for Sales Strategy. And it can also be kind of counterintuitive. And if you've ever led, or if you've ever been a salesperson or led salespeople, you know that anything that slows down the process has people being like, wait, what do you mean? Like, I don't want to slow that down. We got to go. And what we're going to really get to talk about today is why that actually will speed things up. When you slow things down early on, it actually is going to not only speed things up later, but it's going to increase the likelihood of someone becoming a customer for a lot of reasons that we're going to dive into. So yeah, that's really what I'm excited about. And I think Tyler's the one that's going to really be the expert on this because he does this so well. He leads a great, really top performing sales team at HubSpot. And he's also has a long history in sales himself. So I'll let you more formally introduce him, Shay, and we'll jump in.
All right. So let me tell you a little bit about Tyler. Then I'm going to bring him into the live cast here. So Tyler Rhodes is a director of sales of small business at HubSpot and is a sales manager with a proven track record of consistently exceeding goals by fostering collaboration through a diverse sales team. He excels in change management and conflict resolution while always exemplifying heart, which is humble, empathetic, adaptable, remarkable, and transparent. Prior to his history at HubSpot and working his way up through roles as channel account manager, principal inbound marketing specialist, and a principal manager, he held roles in both the nonprofit and the SaaS industries. His specialties include SaaS sales, that's a tongue twister, SaaS, sales, strategic planning, ideation, creativity, solution selling, individualization, adaptability, design, and photography. And I'm excited to welcome him to the Sell Smarter, Sell Faster livecast, as he and Dani are going to dig in to the sales process, like we said, and specifically that discovery phase and how to slow things down and share their insight on that so sellers can speed them up later. So I'm going to bring him in. Here we are. Hi, Tyler.
Hey, what's going on?
Welcome. With that little introduction, I'm going to leave y'all to this conversation and have a great show.
Perfect. Thanks, Shay. Hey, Tyler. Always a pleasure.
Dani, it's been 8 years.
It has. It's really since I started working here, and it's been 8.5, to be fair.
It was pretty awesome, but also kind of depressing. The time's just flying.
Yeah. It has flown by, but we've had a lot of good times, and it's been fun to see both of our roles change over the years too. And so it's kind of fun to be able to touch base now and dive into this stuff that I know there was a lot of topics you and I could have talked about today. And
Sure.
This was one that kind of came up when we were going back and forth of just something that you believe in, you're passionate about, and you're really seeing just be important right now.
Yeah,
So-
that's totally true. I guess in my role now, being a director on the small business team at HubSpot, small businesses are biggest segment in terms of just rep employee count. So we're constantly bringing on net new reps and sort of developing their sales processes and developing training, enablement, et cetera. So this is definitely top of mind. So when you brought up the idea, I was all about it.
Good. Well, I'm excited to hear what you got to share. So let's jump in. I mean, kind of just to kick things off, when we talk about slowing things down so we can speed things up, right? Share kind of in your own words, like just what that means to you.
Okay. So slowing things down to speed them up is something that from my tenure at HubSpot, it's something that I've heard many times right from the beginning. And it's sort of taken a lot of forms since hearing it the very first time. What it means to me is that the buyer today, prospects out there, have a ton of ammo. They have a ton of information at their fingertips. They can read about your company. They can read a ton of reviews online. They can look at your pricing. They can probably find like previous discounts that you've given before. They have a ton of information before you have your very first call with them. So it's very common in that sort of relationship for the buyer to have a lot of control on the sales process. And that initial call, they're looking at a sales rep as being sort of a roadblock for them to get information that they want. So in our world at HubSpot, we're a software company. So we're demoing and then presenting pricing and hopefully closing. It's often for leads to come inbound to us requesting a demo and them wanting a demo immediately. Now, the thing about HubSpot is we're a platform solution. So we literally have hundreds of tools that we can show. So if we're running to a demo, we're running to the finish line and showing that, we can very easily confuse someone and turn them off. So on the flip side of that, sales reps, when they hear they get let's say a lead and the person's like, hey, I want to see a demo, I want pricing, it's very easy for them to get happy ears and want to run to the finish line with the prospect in thinking that, hey, I have one on the line. Mm-hmm. This is a deal. They're super interested. Give them pricing, try and close the deal. And very often in those cases, we give them a lot of stuff, pricing, doing a demonstration, and then they just disappear. Simply just because we haven't presented a lot of value. So when I think of sort of slowing things down to speed them up, I'm thinking about challenge their initial intent of rushing to the finish line and spending time in that discovery phase and really learning about their business and building value.
Yeah. What I'm kind of like, the word that's coming to my mind a little bit is like not making assumptions based off of the action they took to come to you that says they're somewhere where they may not be actually. And you're obviously talking about like software sales, but I can think of all kinds of examples in even
Sure.
more of the B2B world of like who we're talking to, more of professional service sales. And the same thing happens, right? Someone comes in and says, oh, I'm looking at agencies and, I want to learn more about this. And it's like, wait, one step back. Like, we don't actually know what questions they have had answers. And like you said, they have access to a lot of stuff, but we don't know how much they really know.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's clear benefits, right? We're talking about the whole point is that it speeds things up and makes the sales process better. But are there other like specific things that you think benefit the overall sales process by slowing down that discovery stage a little bit?
Yeah, without a doubt. I'll think of a couple. The first, I mean, I've already said this, but building value around your product and truly understanding a business and understanding like how they operate, how they make money, challenges that they have in their business, and then sort of utilizing that. And again, I'm going to position this from like a HubSpot point of view, but it's taking that stuff and building value around our tools of how we can help them get to where they want to go or solve a specific challenge that they have in their business. So how that translates into sort of the sale, the demonstration point of view, is we can go from doing a canned demo of showing every single tool and just like hoping that one of them resonates, or we can show like maybe 4 or 5 tools that really, really solve a pain point in their business. And it has so much urgency and so much value behind it that it's a slam dunk. In the process, it just goes really fast. So that's one. The other would be, again, based on value and ROI, to really helping a business get to where they want to go. If they can see that with your software, you're not even really talking about things like discounting or building in sort of artificial urgency to get a deal done. See HubSpot or another product or whoever it may be as like a solution to get from point A to point B, and they need it. So that is building urgency around ROI, which is the best place to be. And the third thing is understand that you're talking to the right person. Very often the person, like if we're looking at like an inbound lead, just because they're an inbound lead doesn't mean that they're a decision maker. It's actually fairly often that they're not a decision maker. They're an influencer. They could be like a marketer. Sometimes you get a lead from like an intern, and just assuming that they're in a position to buy from them filling out a form on your website doesn't mean anything. So understanding like how the company operates, who makes the decisions, and who you need to talk to will really help make the sale go faster.
Yeah, that makes total sense. So I feel like we've painted a good picture of why this is important and what we're talking about. So what are some of the tactics that you use with your sales team to actually do this?
So the very first thing is at HubSpot, we use a bunch of sales sort of processes or methodologies. Internally at HubSpot, we use GPCT, which is goals, plans, challenges, and timeline. It's really important to have some sort of like baseline of where people need to be and what you need to, some process that you can train and enable and inspect reps on, like, have they checked the boxes to get that? So in order to, that is absolutely crucial. And then it's all about sort of developing consistency around sort of inspecting that and making sure that reps are doing it and they're digging deep. They're not just getting surface level sort of answers.
Yeah, got it. That makes sense. So asking the right questions. That makes sense. So what about tools when we're talking about, or even types of content? So there's like 2 areas, whether it's specific tools that are used to maybe slow things down and have more intelligence to properly slow it down, or even content that might be used. Anything specific that comes to mind that help with that part of the process that you guys use?
Yeah, from like a tools perspective, we're big users of, we have our own tool, which is called Conversational Intelligence, which sort of records sales calls and then puts it into an easily sort of searchable method. So if you want to get right to like the pricing point of a conversation or right to a discovery or a certain question, you can do that very easily rather than sort of having to listen to an entire call. utilizing a tool like that, another example would be like a gong, is really, really important so that you're focusing on, first of all, speed. So you can get through a lot of these things really quick as a manager or sort of someone of authority like CEO or whatnot, but making sure that your reps are really, really digging deep in there and not just accepting sort of standard answers, challenging, pushing back, and really digging deep to making sure that they're basing their sort of like how they're moving forward in the sale based on something real.
Yeah. Yeah. It also has me thinking too, this is getting a little deeper, but this idea of slowing things down, pausing to ask the right questions, create value, all of that. But meanwhile, you can and should be using tools and tactics to still speed up the other pieces, right? So I'm even thinking of just basic intelligence, like knowing when someone's opening or reading an email or looking at a document or engaging with something you sent can help you speed stuff up in between, even though you're maybe slowing it down by adding extra conversations, like you said, or things like that.
Yeah, exactly. So we actually, in terms of like some content or things that could be useful to your audience, developing something like a document called like a joint evaluation plan is a good example, where you're sort of, this is actually would be like an Excel document or a Word document that you'd pull up on a phone call with someone during the discovery, sort of agreeing to the buying process and what exactly needs to happen for you to get to the finish line. Who needs to be involved when it's happening. Sometimes you can schedule those calls out. And the purpose of that is, first of all, to be really organized, but also to so you know exactly what needs to happen for you to close this deal, so that you can do things around being proactive or run things in parallel. So it's not like this needs to happen, then this needs to happen, and this needs to happen. All like three things can happen at the same time.
Yes, I love that. Yeah.
So you can actually slowing things down is an interesting way to say it, because you're spending more time on one step. But if you look at the first time of talking to someone to actually closing a deal, it could be a lot faster.
Yeah, I love that. Makes total sense. And something we use at Lead too in our sales process, we have this sales and marketing discovery questionnaire. You kind of made me think of this, and it's a step after discovery call. We've learned a lot, but it's like all those nitty gritty questions that would take an hour and a half to go through, and probably people don't have, but we send that. It's something they fill out, and it feels like it's like a slowing of things down, because we're like, we need this back before we move to the next step. But really, it's doing exactly what we're talking about here. It's getting us the info, the buy-in, creating value. So there's a lot of different ways. And I think, those listening right now, you could probably think of different stuff for your own organization that would be applicable to the sales process.
The biggest thing, Dani, is really spending a lot of time in discovery, learning about a business and challenging them. You're building two things. You're getting sort of like that trusted advisor status, where you're a sales rep and more of like a consultant. Like, I'm understanding, like, all of the sales reps at HubSpot are very much there, where their goal is to understand how a business works, and they're consulting them on how they could do marketing better, how they could do sales better, how they could make more money as a business. And that's huge. If you can get to that area in a sales process, I mean, that's unbelievable. The other thing is you're differentiating yourself. So it's really often that we talked about assumptions at the beginning of the call. These companies coming on board have assumptions of like what they need or challenges in their business. But when you inspect in like when you're a sales rep and you're having hundreds of thousands of these calls, a year, a lot of these companies and challenges run together. There's a lot of similarities there. So someone can think that they have a certain problem or a challenge, but it's actually very far off from what their challenge really is. By finding that out and structuring your sale around solving something over here, this company could be doing the same thing with all your competitors. They could be filling out demonstration forms or whatever it may be. So you're selling something over here. They're all selling something over here, but you're right. And it's really a great way to differentiate yourself from your competitors.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up that benefit, because I think that's an important one. Both of them, the trusted advisor and the differentiation. So if we kind of, okay, so like a manager, we're trying to teach these things. We're trying to lead, by example, help them have the process to slow things down a little bit. But if we look at the other side, are there any red flags that a manager or a salesperson could kind of notice that means they're slowing things down too much, or maybe things that aren't actually helpful in the slowing down? Anything that stands out to you?
Yeah. I mean, the goal here is the thing that you, and this isn't the same for all industries, and I know there's a lot of people that can be listening to this, but the main thing is like time kills all deals, right? The time that you have in between calls, you can, who knows what will happen. You could have a competitor can get in there, something that could happen in their business. There's a lot of things that could really just put a deal sideways. So even though we're slowing things down and focusing on the discovery step, we still want to have, as short of a sales process as possible from beginning to end. If you are having calls like a week or 2 weeks apart and really scheduling that stuff far out, that's dangerous. You really got to watch out for that as a manager. And again, that's industry dependent. But the other thing is reps have to have the ability to understand why they're asking questions or why they're building discovery and have a goal in mind. If the people are just asking questions to ask questions because their manager is telling them to and not really putting it all together, that's a big red flag. And that's probably just going to annoy people.
Yeah. Like if they're not actually using what they're learning to shape or change anything, it's like, what's the point? And that'll be felt on the other end.
Sometimes you get newer reps that are, challenging someone's business is the best thing. Their way of business is the best thing in the world, right?
Yeah.
But if you're just challenging someone on their business strategy just to do it, that could go really, really sideways.
Yep, totally.
Yeah.
So speaking to like kind of more on to sales leaders and managers out there, are there any, I don't know, like common because like you said, you're often bringing on lots of new salespeople, training, onboarding. I mean, it's kind of like a never ending, just growing and a door there of people in that stage. Are there any specific like objections or challenges that you specifically face in kind of teaching this thinking to someone that maybe hasn't always thought this way of like, slowing it down a little bit with the discovery process?
Jeez. Most of the people that we bring on are fairly coachable. It's something that we really test for in our interview process. So most people don't necessarily challenge learning the discovery and why it's important. However, whether or not they do it and have actual buy-in to why it's important is another thing. So they can say, yes, it's important, but actually understanding why it's important is a different thing. So focusing on like that buy-in and in the training process, why someone's doing something rather than just doing it is really, really important. A lot of companies out there, they develop a sales process and they're like, maybe give a sheet or something like that of like, hey, you need to get all of this information before we move over to step B, which is great. And you build that sales process in your company. But what's more important is sales reps understanding why they're getting this. If they don't do that, they're not going to be bought in and they're just going to do it and it's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah. Yep. That makes sense. Kind of goes back again to that, like we said before, that why. Great. Well, that's really, I feel like we covered a lot of ground. We certainly covered the why, how to do it, some specific tactics and tools and things that can help it. Any closing thoughts, anything that you haven't shared that you think would be useful for people to know kind of around this thinking?
Yeah, at least in my point of view, and again, HubSpot's a B2B sale. It's a lot different than maybe someone listening to this. As well as there's a million different sales sort of processes that you can put out there. HubSpot uses GPCT. You hear BANT. There's, you're using like a Sandler thing or Center for Sales Strategy. Like all of it, give you guys a plug. All of these different things are out there. It doesn't really matter. What really matters is having something. If you have anything that you build a process around that you can inspect and develop that sort of buy-in and that why for sales reps to really get behind, then that's where you win. The other thing is, if you look at, if someone asked me what's the most important part of a sales process at HubSpot, I would say our discovery call, hands down. Everyone if you were to ask a lot of other companies out there, they would probably say the demo or maybe like closing or whatnot. It's really worth diving into and training your reps on like the discovery, why it's important, and really, really inspecting. Don't just assume that they get it and it's like a thing you do. You go through, like, let's say everyone reads a sales book together and then they implement it and then it fades away. You got to like constantly be on it. Consistency is key in making sure that you're constantly inspecting, listening to calls, challenging people, and it's something that you can always get better on. It's always improving. You can always like listen to a call, even if it was the best call in the world, you can find like 10 things wrong with it. It's constantly getting better. So consistency and to have some sort of a strategy around the discovery call.
Yeah, that's a great closing thought. Like just the emphasizing to constantly be evaluating and inspecting. I love that word, and optimizing it. Yeah, that's great. Cool. Well, Tyler, thank you so much. I know you're very talented at what you do. I'm sure all your team members love having you as a leader, and you're great at what you do. So thank you for sharing a little bit of some of your expertise here. It was really useful, and we got your LinkedIn right below. Anybody want to connect with Tyler? I know I love pointing. It's like my favorite part of this. Yeah. So I'll say thank you, and we'll talk again soon, Tyler. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, Shay, and you are muted.
I'm here now. Can you hear me? I'm not muted anymore. I just said, thank you, Tyler. That was awesome. I love learning. I loved his last point, about like just that, really the importance of that discovery call, and some good nuggets in this episode. I want to go back in and re-listen, and maybe we'll share those again later, but cool. So as a reminder, everyone watching, we do have resources on these topics, blog posts, other pieces of content around these topics at sellsmarter.com. So go there, check it out. Also, make sure you are subscribe and hit that little bell so you get the reminders when we are live. And next week, we are going to have Kevin James from the Meredith Corporation. He's going to be discussing the role that inbound marketing plays in media sales. So this is going to be really interesting. We have a case study around this. So I know that this is a topic that, is going to be just interesting to hear his point of view on. And yeah, so subscribe. Join us next week. And if you do want to connect with Dani, if you have any questions about the topic, here's her information, LinkedIn and Twitter. And myself, I'm also on LinkedIn and Twitter. But I think that's all I have for today. Dani, any closing thoughts?
Nope, that's it. Always a pleasure, and looking forward to doing this again next week. Same place, same time.
See y'all next week. And we'll have the information for next week on this closing slide. So have a great day, everyone.
Perfect.